Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, Real Science with Chris Neal. I'm back to do another Geek Out session on the hormone cycle for women. This time we're just talking about the ladies, and we're going to talk about the monthly cycle and the hormonal changes that happen during the month. It's always important to go back to basics and figure out exactly the science behind how things are supposed to work, ideally, optimally, and then we can start looking into individualizing, like, well, okay, what is happening with one-on-one patients, like why they're actually having issues or they're feeling certain ways, they're struggling with hormonal imbalances. But if we don't understand really how things work in the beginning to start with, then we're never going to really understand how to optimize them. So I like to go back to the basics. This is a just a quick geek out session into how the hormone cycle works, and what its processes are. Obviously there's a lot of hormones involved. I try and simplify things as much as I can to make this in a short, explainable video, or as much as possible. If you guys have any questions or comments, or would like to talk, with me at all, like, we can always set up a consultation. You can reach me at my clinic, vivohealthsolutions.com, or you can just feel free. Please like and subscribe. Put a comment down below, and I will get back to you. All right, so let's jump right into the hormone cycle. Basically, the women, as we all know, as guys, women are much more complicated than every single guy on this planet knows that. But when it comes down to the hormone cycle, we can actually wrap our arms around it and understand it. But there's basically one part of the hormone cycle that we have to come to grips with. Part of the hormone cycle, the purpose of all these changes in hormones, is in order to make a baby. Like that just in and of itself is a miracle, but that's why certain changes have to take place and why so many things move. This line here signifies a month time frame. Okay, so during that month, there's basically, as you can tell, there's basically two large waves that occur in these hormones. So the purpose of that is the first wave is to ovulate, to allow one of your ovaries to release an egg. Okay, and generally what happens is that it switches sides. 1 month you'll lose an egg from one side, the next month you'll lose an egg from the other side, and that's the way it's supposed to happen. So that's the first wave. We have to release that egg. Now, the second wave is exclusively to set the uterus up and get the uterus ready to hold on to a baby or hold on to a fetus. Like that's the whole game plan. Now, the reason why it's important to understand that's what all these waves are all about. So let's say, for example, you have someone that is in menopause, or you had someone that had a hysterectomy or something like that, or that's the situation that you're in. If you're basically not in the baby making game anymore, then you really don't need to have these waves up here. Like, there really isn't any purpose besides being in the baby making game to have really high levels, here. The body is actually designed to run very effectively on pretty conservative levels of all of these hormones consistently. So when it's an important aspect to think about, because one of the hormone imbalances that we see in women are when these levels continue to rise and they just keep on going. And instead of a normal wave like this, they might get a wave like this, way up here. And so when that happens in numbers and in hormones, that it causes feelings, it causes symptoms, side effects. So a lot of women will call that PMS, premenstrual syndrome. So they'll have water weight gain, mood instability, anxiety, depression, irritability, acne. They'll get acne, and cramping, and that's before their period even starts. So it's important to understand the waves and what the waves are actually for. The primary hormones that are involved in this are your luteinizing hormone, follicular stimulating hormone, progesterone, and estrogen. So the estrogen and progesterone, they have regular jobs to do during the month, sure, at standard levels. But when it comes to the baby making game, they actually have a bigger role to play in this right here. So let's talk a little bit about the releasing the egg. This is ovulation now. So when it comes to ovulation, the whole purpose behind ovulation is to release an egg. So I drew this picture here because another syndrome that we hear about or read about is called PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. So it's a term that kind of gets thrown around a lot, but it's also sometimes difficult to understand exactly what it is. So what occurs with polycystic ovarian syndrome is really like this. When it comes to ovulation just doesn't happen. Boom, you release an egg. It doesn't work that way. So the way that the ovary is able to release an egg, the egg just can't be released just on its own. It has to be encapsulated first. It gets surrounded by a little force field like this, okay? And we call that, I know this is kind of a bad term for it, but we call it a cyst. It's just a collection of fluid with an egg inside, but it's encapsulated, and that's just, in medical terms, is a cyst. Whenever we talk about cysts, we think like something bad or infection or whatever, but in reality, it's not that. It's not the case. When it comes to the ovary, that's the ovary's natural way of getting this egg out of there. So it has to encapsulate it first, and then once it gets to the point, and it builds up, once it gets to the point where that force field begins to touch the outer edge of the ovary, then it's able to release the egg. The fallopian tubes are right there, and then that egg is able to travel along the fallopian tubes. That's the way it's supposed to work, okay? But what can happen? Now, this is all regulated by hormones. Hormone balance and hormone harmony is what I like to call it. So what happens is if your hormones are out of balance, if your hormones are not working in harmony right here, and it's not all pretty like this, then you can get to the point where your ovaries begin to produce this cyst, this little collection of fluid with the egg inside. It gets maybe to here or to here, and it stops. It doesn't go all the way. It's never able to actually release an egg. So it stops part of the way, and you got an egg that's just stuck here. Okay? And then you go on to the next cycle, a month later. You go on and you make another egg, you have another egg that's getting ready to be released, and maybe it stops here. Okay? And then the next month, something else happens. So before long, you have 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 of these eggs just sitting there. And they have these large collection of fluid inside, and that puts pressure on the ovaries. And these things can actually get very, very large, believe it or not. So to the point where it causes pain. It can cause pain. So because that's pressure in there. And it's because the eggs are not able to be released appropriately. Why? Well, because, again, our hormones are not properly balanced. That's where it all goes back to. So a lot of times, if you ever have been diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome, or that's a condition that you suffer with, it's sometimes a struggle to try and get some answers as to what can I do about it. There's very little that they offer. Sometimes you'll get offered to take birth control pills, or, well, you just have to lose weight. No, it just runs in your family. You just got to deal with it. And that's, so those types of things are really not that effective. Obviously, the checking your hormones and finding out the root of what's going on and working on balancing that is really where the key to all of this lies. Now, another thing that I want to talk about in regards to the hormone cycle is what happens when another common hormone gets down or depressed. So that's progesterone. Progesterone is a very powerful hormone. Its standard job, amongst a lot of things, is as a natural anti-anxiety for women, and it helps to kind of mitigate estrogen dominance. It kind of calms your estrogen down, and it's also a really, really great sleep aid. It really has a lot to do with your circadian rhythm. So it helps your body want to fall asleep, want to stay asleep, and want to wake up in the morning. It really works really well at that. Now, when it comes to the baby making game, progesterone is a very, very important hormone when it comes to getting the uterus ready to hold on to a baby. It's one of the most common reasons for infertility is low progesterone. So having that progesterone is a really, really big deal. And when it comes to, say, like a lot of hormone imbalances, when your progesterone levels crash or they fall, that's usually the number one sign is that women have a hard time sleeping. They might be able to fall asleep, but 2 o'clock in the morning, they're waking up staring at the ceiling fan and they can't get their mind to stop racing and thinking about things because your brain is saying, hey, it's time to be awake, but your body is just exhausted and ready to sleep. So it's something that we work with a lot when it comes to our patients in our clinic. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of give a quick breeze through on the hormone cycle for women. I hope this helped answer some questions for you guys. If you guys have any additional questions that this brought up, please, like I said, hit me in the comments section. Reach out to me at the clinic, vivohealthsolutions.com. And you can schedule and get hooked up for a free consultation where we can review these hormones. We can answer these questions for you and let you know in a free consultation what we can do to help you. Thank you very much. I hope this helped. Everybody stay healthy.